every business decision we've made on using prayer and considering, service is a big deal in our church, serving our community and serving each other. Danae was talking about, what were you saying earlier about when you're doing right?
I think people don't think about this very often, but when you are running a business and you run the business for the right reason, the right way, especially when you're divinely inspired to do it. And I think a lot of people are and don't even realize it. When they have a passion and they feel a calling to do something, that's the Spirit guiding them to do that business or that service and to fill that role in society. So running a business can absolutely help you understand God a little better and help you create a closer relationship with Him and help a lot of people along the way. I mean, it's a wonderful, positive, creative process that building a business can be.
This is the Farm Hop Life Podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt DeRosier. On the Farm Hop Life Podcast, we learn what it takes to grow your own food from everyday people. Could be a college student, grows tomatoes and salad greens on their apartment patio, a former VP of marketing for Del Taco now raising cattle in Montana, or someone who hasn't had a homestead in over 10 years. This show is aimed at teaching you what it takes to make homesteading work for you, that we all make mistakes, we all have bad days, but we can reach out and help one another thrive, and giving you the confidence needed to go feed yourself. I'm assuming, Emily, you're the one in the white t-shirt? Yes.
That's
okay.
me. Yeah.
Excellent. And next to you are your business partners.
Yep. This is Danae. She's the cinnamon queen. As you'll see her in the post, she's cinnamon queen. I'm Chief Rooster. I'm the social media manager, and this is Eric Valdez, her husband, and he's boss man.
You guys are in Missouri then?
Yes.
Yes.
Give me a little bit of background on what you guys like, what your experience has been like individually.
I mean, obviously, I think all of us are probably old enough to remember a time when that was pretty common. I spent lots of summers on grandparents' farms. I've done plenty of stuff like that growing up, plucking chickens, slaughtering hogs, things like that. I grew up mainly in rural Arkansas, and my parents moved around a lot, but spent a lot of time in Arkansas and Kentucky. So I just grew up rural and got older. Life got in the way, but I'm wanting to get back to doing the whole homesteading thing. So,
Did your parents get away from that then? And then you're getting back into it on your own?
Yeah. Oh, my parents were OG hippies. And when I say OG hippies, I mean, we lived in a log cabin in the forest in the 80s. And
wow,
naked, we were feral children. And we were homeschooled until the 4th grade. Like, I didn't even go to public school. So we were extremely feral. I lived my whole life outdoors. After my parents split, my mother moved to the city. And so we grew up in the city. I went on to school and college, and I had kids, and, we've been sort of living the city life, but I didn't grow up that way. And so I'm wanting to get back to the feral life, really. Yeah.
Sure.
Matt, I appreciate the question because we just learned something about Emily.
I was going to ask, did your parents send you to school naked too? Or...
to school at all. I didn't go to school until the 4th grade. So.
Yeah, until 4th grade. Yeah, in 4th grade, did they send you to school naked too? Because it's like, well, we just never bothered with clothes.
They didn't. No.
Oh, well, you can.
Thank heavens for small favors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, what about you guys? Well, I mean, you think that's a great story. You should hear the cat castration story.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh boy.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, so my dad had this dream to live out in the country. And so when my mom died, my mom was always very city person. She loved art and culture and stuff like that. So the moment she passed, he decided he's moving us all to the country. So like within a couple months, we were in the country. He decided he was a farmer. And so we ended up with pigs and hogs, and we had a ton of cats. Imagine this, it's only half an acre. And it seems like a lot if you're living in the city. If you're out in the country, you've got a bunch of animals. So it really isn't a lot of, we had a big garden and yeah, it was a little crazy. So my dad decided that he wanted to castrate our cat and himself. Okay, because he was making a lot of babies. A lot.
Okay.
And so he called the vet up and asked him how it's done. This is pre, Google. And so over the phone, he told my dad how to do it. So we're all, what was this, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something? No, I think it was Christmas Day, the Christmas afternoon. We're all pinning this cat down. So my dad, I could castrate the cat. Okay. And evidently, my poor siblings, we were talking about this the other day because they're a little shocked that we're doing this. They're like, we have so much PTSD about animals growing up. And they were telling me how my dad would have my sisters help him castrate the piglets. And I'm just like, you mean give off after the cat? What the heck? So yeah, it's there. So the fact I'm here, right here, talking about, and that we have actual chickens, and we even have 2 pigs.
Yeah.
And and that let's just say I've come a long way.
Have you tried castrating a chicken yet?
No. There shall be no castrating.
I was going to say, good luck.
LLC. We will ask a professional if we ever need that service.
Highly recommend it.
We're pretty do-it-yourself, but we're not that do-it-yourself.
Probably better just to sell the chicken.
Yeah. Literally anything else. Yes, exactly.
All right.
Go ahead.
What about your background?
Yeah. So I actually started my life in Southern California, but both of my parents were from the country. So as time went on, they ended up getting a small 2-acre lot in Chino, California. We had horses and chickens and a few other animals that were there. And then a few years later, we moved to a 40-acre ranch that was out in Arkansas. And so there it grew to cattle, along with the horses and the chickens. And we had rabbits at some point, a couple of billy goats, I remember. We had 21 dogs at one point sitting on the property.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was, well, what happened was we had these small Boston Terriers and this collie that were kind of like the inside dogs, and they had a fenced area. But then we had a German Shepherd that we adopted, and then we ended up adopting the 2 hounds from next door from people that left their dogs around, and then pups started, and next thing you know, we had 21 dogs on our ranch. So we did give some away and whatnot. So, but yeah, so we would, we had a couple of horses that, helped my dad break. And we had, huge gardens on a regular basis. And then as time went on, as I got older and I was breaking away from all of that, I was very much into the country scene. Danae knew that when we met. And then it got to the point where our lives just kind of changed, where we just had to be in the city to, do our schooling and just, because we're just starting off in life and didn't know how to do certain things to be able to stay in the country and not have extra expenses and start raising a family. So then we reached the point where we're finally able to get to the point where we could have some land, and here we are. Things are just starting to build.
Excellent. I like that you each kind of had like your own little journey from way back when, and you all kind of like came together now. And so you guys know each other through church. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, we sure do. And Danae and I have owned a few different businesses over the years, and out of all those things I could share with you right now, Emily's like the best business partner we've ever had.
Because we've had a few. And
Sure.
bad. Okay. None of them like partnerships ended badly. I mean, good people, good experiences, but yeah, this is a whole new experience.
This is those ones where I'm talking to Danae. Boy, I hope I didn't say something stupid where she doesn't want to do nothing with us anymore, type thing. But yeah, we all come from the same faith and worked, just work together and we just kind of have the same goals and it's been really good.
Nice. Yeah.
Same age, so it helps.
Yeah, that helps too. Yeah.
There's no seniority or anything. So why did you come together to come up with it's birds? Oh crap, I just had it up. It's birds and bees farms. There we go. Got it.
Birds and Bees Farms.
So how did that come together?
You started it.
Well, it started with, Danae and I, working with the kids and building up our land and the farm that we're on. And one of the things that Danae was really interested in was bees. So we do raise bees on the farm as well. And then what happened a little bit later was we were talking about getting some chickens in order for us to basically just kind of start off with supplying our own household. We shared that with Emily, and then next thing I know, we're not just feeding our own family. It's turned into a business, and then when we got the chickens and the bees, that's why the birds and the bees farms came about. And then everything just kind of naturally came together with the partnership and with the business, and that's kind of how it started.
The pigs just kind of happened.
Yeah, that was Emily too.
So, and so in the meantime, while they're doing all of this with the bees and stuff, I had never been interested in entrepreneur anything in my whole entire life. I am very much a lone wolf type. I very much just kind of do my own thing in the background, and I'm not really branching out to other people. And like, it had been a spiritual impression of mine for the last probably 6 or 8 months about possibly going into business. And there was another friend of mine like a year ago who suggested we go into business together, but she was really flaky about it. And I was like, I don't know. And I had really been thinking about it, but I thought, could I really do that? Like, I've never done anything like that. And that would be putting myself out there in a way that I've not really done. And when then he came to me and said, we're thinking about doing some eggs. Do you want to do some eggs together? I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. And then like a week later, he said, me and Danae have been praying about it, and we feel like we'd like to make this a business partnership. And I had been thinking the same thing. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that they're talking me up in terms of like business, because I'm like, I have zero experience. But apparently I'm well suited for it because we're really having fun. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's okay that you're new to something, because you have like you might find like a different way that works for you that isn't like the traditional path, instead of like, something very structured, like, because nothing's guaranteed, right? You could have a business plan and then it just falls apart anyways. So yeah, figure it out as you go. And everyone had to start sometime, right? So
yeah. Did you want to add something to it?
It's gone.
So why? So bees just for honey? Like, was there a reason behind the interest in bees?
Well, my oldest and youngest are autistic, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or what, but they both have severe allergies, outdoor allergies, indoor allergies, just the point where I had an allergist who's like, you're going to be tempted to want to put him in a bubble. Don't. And it's just been, it's been an ongoing issue, but I'd always heard honey was like a great way to help kind of inoculate yourself, local honey. And I'm like, man, it'd be perfect. But honey was so expensive and our budget was always so tight. I'm like, I don't know, like, the only thing that made sense to me for years was having my own bees. I mean, I like bees. I'm not allergic to them. I'm not afraid of them. So I was like, I could do it. This is one of those things I could do. And I don't know. And I think just the fact, and the way I was raised and stuff, I felt like I could actually raise these bees and not get so emotionally attached to them, so that if I failed and they flew away or if they all just died, I probably wouldn't be too torn up about it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Thanks. And so it seems like a really safe, emotionally safe way to start. And but just the whole experience has been crazy. I mean, there's so much involved. I mean, you have to learn a whole new language, like, and all the different supplies. I'm still not sure how in the heck the whole extracting thing's supposed to work. So we'll figure that out, I guess, when we come to it. But yeah, it's so fun watching them. And I'm like, man, I need to get a GoPro or something. It's like stick it on my forehead. So when I'm getting in there, because it's not like you can sit there with your gloved hands when you got the beehive open and the bees are literally like swarming around you. And you're like, oh, that is so cool. I want to take pictures of it. It doesn't work. But I will figure out a way, though.
The headband GoPro will be our next acquisition.
I got an old one you can have.
But yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to, is being able to, like, there's just so many benefits to honey. So.
And you have noticed a difference, or do you have yet to get your first batch of honey? Is this the first season?
Okay. Batch.
Yeah, first season.
This year, I talked to a woman, because I've tried honey before in the past, but I couldn't really tell a difference. And come to find out, there's an actual trick to using honey to help with your allergies. And the trick is you got to stir early. Like, as soon as things start getting even kind of green, you got to start taking the local honey. Okay. And so I bought a really big bottle of it from a local place called Andy's here in Union. And I started taking it the end of February or something. And like about a tablespoon a day, not a ton, just instead of maple syrup, I'd put honey on my pancakes or just casual. It wasn't like I was taking a spoonful of it and eating it, and man, this is the best spring I've had in forever. I think since I moved to Missouri. I can breathe. I haven't taken a single dose of Claritin since this whole year. Haven't had to take one. And
that's wild.
It's been wonderful. I've actually can breathe. Yeah. So I'm trying to slowly get my kids taking it as well, even though it's much later in the fall. I'm like, guys, it works. It works. So I am so excited to have truly local honey from my own beehive, because I imagine how much better it'd be versus 3 towns away to have honey that's literally from your backyard.
Right.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
So the chickens that you guys have, what breed are they?
Cinnamon Queens.
Cinnamon. Oh, that's what you meant by that. I've never heard of that breed before. So I'm like, I don't know what you're talking. Just like, okay, let's roll with it. Cinnamon Queen, got it. And so, what are they? Are they like good for your area or?
Yeah, so I was doing some research in the local area to kind of find out what people really enjoyed. And there's one particular individual that has really sold me on them. That's all he's had multiple breeds of chickens over the years in our area. And he said that the Cinnamon Queen seem to do really well in this area, not only in the sense of how much eggs they can produce, but also in the sense of how they could weather the tough weathers out here. So, and he's had no issues with them. So after doing that research, we decided let's start with that breed, and just start going forward with it and see what happens.
How old are they now?
So we got April, May, April, May. They're just over 2 months.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they're getting big. Yeah, so
I think they're almost full grown now. They're sure looking awfully full grown. I mean, they're getting the red in the face, but they're pretty birds.
Yeah, they are.
Did you get them as chicks or pullets?
chicks.
That's a lot of work. We're expecting some chicks in like a week or two here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. We had we had a brood box and a place for them, and to put them all in, and then we had a fun activity where once the chicken tractor was built, we had everyone taking one chick at a time and putting them in the chicken tractor. It took a little while. We got some video of it.
We do have a TikTok, and that video is on our TikTok. So
Nice.
It's a lot of fun.
How many do you have right now?
24.
24.
Yep. We only lost one chick out of the whole, which kind of surprised me. I had just like mentally tried to prepare myself for losing more, but
But I was being so careful with that. When we got 25 chicks, we did start off with 25. And then, and we were like, that would be a good test beginner run to get our feet wet, kind of see how things go. And then when we created the brood box, I was just wanting to be sure that one is that they couldn't get out, they couldn't get sick. We cleaned the brood box every day or once a week, because it's pretty big. It's it was like 8 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet.
Yeah.
They had plenty of room to run. We had two heat lamp setups in there in case one went out. When we got them, we were still hitting below freezing temperatures out here. So we would run both heat lamps we would run them both in the evening, at that particular time. And then we had a routine, and the one thing that we did also do was we were being sure that we were getting the chick medicated.
yeah, we got the medicated feed.
And that's what we've continued to give them until we move them to pellets. So there is the non-medicated, but talking to people out here, a lot of them seem to just really stick with the medicated. And I think by doing that, along with the heat lamps and just keeping their water clean and keeping the brood box clean and stuff, is what helped us not lose it, just the one. And to this day, I really kind of think that the one chick, based on how it looked, I don't think that we lost it from sickness. I actually think that they were in that in-between stage of starting to flap their wings, and it got trampled on by accident.
Oh.
weird storm that happened that night.
Yeah, where they probably were scared and stuff, and whatnot. So with the thunder and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, so I really think that because of those things that we did, because everyone kept saying expect to lose a few every time we talk to somebody.
Yep.
And stuff, and I was just like, well, I want to do the best we can. Where we could say we did all we could. If something goes wrong, it was out of our control. It was just nature. So
Sure. Yeah. Did you pick those chicks up? Oh, there I am. Did you guys pick up those chicks from that local guy?
actually, it was Buford Ag is the place that we go to. It's not only where they sell the chicks during the season, a particular part of the season, but they also have their own mills for creating corn or not corn, but pellets and feed and stuff like that.
Excellent. Yeah. One-stop shop.
Yeah.
Any plans to add meat birds in the future?
We talked about it.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
And we've talked about also breeding the chicks and selling the chicks as well.
Yeah.
Our brood box setup was really awesome. And we're like, we could easily quadruple our capacity and build them stacked. And so we're looking at those. Trouble with living rural, of course, is if we wanted to do meat birds and we wanted to process them ourselves, the nearest USDA facility is Illinois. So then we'd have to worry about transport and things like that if we wanted to go that route.
But hey, if we do it, then it gives me a reason to buy another truck and trailer.
And we could rent our services and transport everybody else's live birds over there to the facility and then make a little little cash on the side.
I don't know if it'd make up for the expensive truck and trailer, but
We have a lot of birds.
I would enjoy it though. But yeah, we got enough space just with the capacity that we have in the one building, that we have enough space to, like Emily was saying, is we could quadruple the amount of birds in there on brood boxes and whatnot. So yeah.
Do you guys not have a exemption for like
Yes.
under
There
1,000 birds, something?
Yeah, there is an exemption under so many. So
Okay.
USDA. Same thing with eggs. Like there's an exemption if people come to your house. You don't have to, and it's under so many. I have it written down somewhere. Then you don't have to go by all of the regulations and labeling laws. So
Nice. Yeah, just keep that number on a post-it note, like to avoid jail. Do not exceed this number.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're still probably a couple months away from things hatching. What's the and I'm not even sure like when you're supposed to do the frames for the bees. Like in like the early fall, late fall, something like that.
So we picked up they call it a nuke. So it's basically 5 frames with an entire hive in it and a queen. And we had already bought an actual hive and stuff like that. So basically it's like a corrugated box with 5 frames in it.
Mhm.
And you take it home and you put the frames in the hive. And so we did that the same day. It actually went really smoothly. It was a little scary because I didn't have a full suit. I just had this really old veil that I had gotten from a friend of mine who used to do beekeeping, and I had a hole in it. So there was a bee buzzing around inside my veil. And I'm like, I am thin right now.
can I just say I'm so glad that she's doing the bee portion because that would not be me.
Yeah. The rest of us were standing really far away watching her do this.
Stay calm. Don't breathe.
It was an experience. I was like, I am the queen of the bees.
That's funny.
Can I just say, like, one thing that has really struck us as we've, come together as a partnership and we're starting to build this is how unique each of our experiences and talents are, that we each kind of fill a need that the other ones don't do so well. The bees are her thing and she's so good at it. And like the social media stuff is my thing. They don't really want to deal with that, but I'm so good at it. He is the business guy. He's so good at that stuff. And it's really cool that, the different things that each one of us are good at is, we're shoring each other up. I think we're really, there's a really nice distribution of skill set here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So there's no stepping on toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because it's like all the experiences we had up to this point. Because I ran a web design business for like a decade, and I'm like, wow, I've actually created a skill set that I can use now for our own business, and I don't have to deal with clients. So bonus.
So then who's gonna sell all the honey and the eggs?
Probably not me.
Well, yeah. So we'll have one of us will.
Sounds like they'll be drawing straws.
I'm doing I'm doing the online promotion stuff. So that's easy enough for me to handle. And he's the salesman of the group. And so he's already been talking with, some of our local, we live in a very rural area. And so we have a lot of local one-stop shops, the corner store that's also got hot meals that also, you can buy chicken feed out the back and things like that. And so he's already been talking with our neighbors and, our local supplies. So he's really, the person who's the on the ground type of thing. And I'm doing a lot of like the back end laying the work. And like she said, she does web design. So she's setting up, all of the certificates and stuff you need and the mechanisms to be able to, do ordering online as well. So
all the pretty stuff, like
the pretty stuff,
yes, and the graphics and the
again, which I'm so grateful she looks to do because
but well, I'm glad all of that is coming finally to some good use. So
how's the interest been, Eric, on stopping at these places?
Oh, for the goods?
Yep, for the goods.
Yeah. So the interest is there. In fact, I've got someone else, for example, that I've talked to that does that I've got some ideas from that actually makes his living out here strictly on just bee honey from beehives, and that's his whole living. So we did a class with the local community college because we didn't want to kill the bees. So we were trying to learn how we could, and man, it was such a good networking place for us to go and gather some information. We have some people that were finding themselves up north from us that are a little bit further along with some of their stuff with honey. But the person that's in the nearby way, everyone seems to really understand it in regards to the need of it because of the value of what honey has for them as individuals. Like Danae was talking about with it helping with people with allergies if you're eating honey from the local area, and knowing where the honey's coming from and knowing that the honey has different, that you could see dark honey and light honey and understand what the differences between the two are and the season, and that kind of tells you what those two are. But yeah, everyone, and when we talk, the eggs, everyone seems to really want the fresh eggs. We actually have some other people that's around us that already uses certain media ways to sell the eggs that they have on theirs, and they always seem to sell out. So it seems to be a need, and not just a need, but a want. The boost really came in after the last egg shortages that were happening not long ago because of the flu. I don't know what they call the bird flu or whatever goes through. It's not the actual that goes through, and it was making the big chicken farmers flocks, just basically almost become they're gone. And when you lose a bunch of birds, I mean, as you probably know, it takes like 6 to 8 months before they could even start, your new birds could even start laying. So that's a long time not to have any cash or not to have eggs on the shelf at a grocery store that people are used to going to. And as we saw, the egg prices just went sky high,
right?
Because of that. So everyone seems to so other than just the finance part, it's also the community part and the health part for eggs and honey in our area that seems to be a real desire for people to be involved in and find more of it.
Sure. Did you guys get a straight run of chicks, or did they all get sexed beforehand?
They got sexed beforehand, right? We got all females.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And we were we've been watching them thinking, is there going to be an accidental rooster in this next? So, but so far, no, we haven't. They
all look like hens to me.
They all look like they're going to lay. So
good. Nice.
Yeah.
We've got 25 Rhode Island Reds coming, and there's just going to be a straight run, so it's going to be like 50, maybe 60% roosters, and so we're just going to like get them up to weight and then process them and throw them in the freezer. Maybe keep one, but we've got kind of like a mixed flock right now. They're like between 2 and 3 years old. And so we got to like phase them out and get these new ones in. So
one thing we talked about, so we live pretty rural, but we live not far from St. Louis, and there's a huge backyard chicken community in St. Louis. but none of them can keep roosters because they all live in St. Louis. And so they are giving them away for free constantly on Facebook. And we have talked about going and picking up a bunch of free roosters and then selling them for cash. So that's definitely a business opportunity we're considering.
A friend of mine, he lives 15 minutes from here, and I've had him on the podcast. They ended up putting an ad on Facebook saying, I think they gave him like a 2-week window. Like, we will take your roosters. You have to drop them off, but you can drop them off here and we will take them. He ended up with 70 roosters. And it took them 2 or 3 days to process all of them. So all that meat went right in their freezer.
Ooh.
And so it's just like,
did they process them on site themselves? First, like, that's
yep.
a lot of work.
It was like, I did not help. I don't remember where I was, but I would have helped, but I don't remember what I was doing. And that was a lot. That was a lot.
It's a lot of work if you're doing it the old-fashioned way and you don't have the equipment, because we have some friends here in Missouri that actually live on the other side of the state. And our families got together one Monday evening just to have some fun together. And he had 6 chickens, and it was a mix of hens and roosters that were going to be slaughtered and plucked and refrigerated by that evening. And we got to take one home. So, but when we did it, and it was my first time ever doing it, it was fun because we had a lot of manpower, and we were watching things like chickens running around, with their heads cut off. And he was kind of sharing also that what he experienced was when he would slaughter the chicken, he had to do it out of the sight of the other chickens, because they knew they picked up on what was happening, and they would start getting kind of
antsy and yeah.
Right. So, and it was interesting that, to know that chickens were smart enough to really understand, what was happening like that. So, but yeah, we went through the whole process, and it was a lot of work. So if you don't have the equipment, like some of these, even a mini size industrial type equipment, just to do 70 chickens, and you're doing it with hot water in a pot, them and everything else, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
We've got a poultry co-op out here. It's meant for like small scale and like homestead type. It's like $30 a year, I think, for like a membership, and then to rent the equipment is $50 for 3 days, I want to say. So you get the scalder, the plucker, and something else like a processing table and kill cones or something like that. I don't remember. So like you get almost all the equipment to do it all.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're actually going out. So this Saturday we're checking out. We have a local association that does animal swaps and things, and so we're going to our first one on Saturday. And I think we're going to be checking out the associations that show up there and kind of what services they offer like that.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit if you're doing doing that processing.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was even an option.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things is the equipment.
It is. It's the equipment. It's
very expensive.
Yeah, because even like the stuff with the we've been planning for the beehive honey extraction, and I've seen people do it by hand. It's just as time consuming like if you did chickens by hand. So I've already been looking around for equipment, and sometimes we have equipment that I'm just like, man, we're only going to use this like a few times or whatever. So we've already been talking to friends and neighbors like, hey, if you need to borrow this, I'd rather you use it instead of the seals going bad in the motor. So,
yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Versus just sitting there and the seals rotting away. So then not being able to use it.
Well, and I remember on another podcast, and I do not remember now who it was, a young man who lived in an apartment, but he was talking about getting equipment and renting it out, right? Or I don't remember which podcast it was, but it was a podcast where they were talking about perhaps investing in the equipment personally and then renting it out as a bit of a side income as a way to pay for it back. So that's definitely an option for the future.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And so like it helps to have like that community too. So you're like, hey, I know you've got this and that, and if you don't, like maybe somebody else knows somebody that can like hook you up with and make another connection. So really helps. So how I know you're just like getting started in this thing. So like how big are you trying to make this thing? Like what's your vision look like?
Well, I know for right now, of course, I still have children in high school. And so we have right now sort of a 3 to 5 year plan to grow. And then as soon as my kids are out of high school, we're wanting to look at buying a bigger property, more property, and then like sinking way more of our time and effort at that point into going, and hopefully by that time going full time, right? And being able to convert to that as being our main source of income. So yeah. And then as far as how big, I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
Or having enough land and
kind of just
always find more.
Yeah, just kind of, there's the vision of wanting to be a part of the community and help the community and just be part of that network of the community with stuff that they could help us with, we could help them with, and whatnot. But I think as we grow, we just kind of take it in steps. I mean, we have the vision of, like Emily was saying, of a larger property, making this full time. On all ends, even to the point where, I envision, hiring high school students that are, trying to save, or, what interns that want to understand ag, that are in college and need intern credit, whatever it may be, to that extent, with that. So, but at the same time, I'm also seeing it in phases. So our first phase is kind of like where we're at now. And then we're going to find out what works, and then we're going to continue doing what works.
Yeah, and I mean, I think our ultimate goal. So there's quite a few, like you said, there's people around here that sell eggs, but they're not super organized. And then we have a few, especially up by the city. There's a few like tourism farms, right, where you can go and have the farm experience for a day. You can take your wedding photos out there. You can pet the cows, things like that. And we don't want to be either one of those. Like we want to be a actual working farm, and not just a cute little tourist experience, but a farm that people can come to buy food. And we want to be organized and make it a proper business, not just selling off of our back porch, telling our Facebook friends, come get some eggs. I mean,
which we will definitely be starting.
Which we will also do. Yes.
But don't get us wrong. Yeah, we'll be definitely.
We're not above doing that. Yeah, but
of course.
But eventually,
we want to be a name. We want to be a part of the community, and we want everybody in the community to know that they can come to us for those things. So,
yeah. And we had, and there's nothing wrong with, if people go as big as they want, and we know, and we have friends that just have, a few chickens. They don't want to go any further. They milk goats and et cetera, but they're more worried about gardening with food versus, animal food. So, but then we have a few where, we had friends of ours that we're all familiar with that they've gotten older, they had chickens and stuff, and they decided not to do it anymore. They decided just to set it aside. It was they enjoyed what they did when they did it, and they just kind of felt like that it's just not in their life anymore where they could handle the workload, or it's not in the future plans with what they want to do. So, because they're changing how they're doing things. So, I think everyone should, give it a shot in their backyard. It's a great time with the kids, even if you have just 2 or 3, and just kind of have the experience and have that family experience with them. And if you have extra eggs, stick it on Facebook or any kind of app and have people come over and grab some. But for us, we definitely are looking at a very larger picture with the community, to be involved and just to have that relationship with everyone. So,
is that where the pigs come into play as well, to like expand on?
So that was my idea. That wasn't the reason why we're not called birds and bees and pigs is because that wasn't the original plan. But we had friends who had several pigs, and they had two they were trying to get rid of before they bred more pigs. And so I said, Eric, what do you think if we got a couple of pigs, man? And then in the springtime, when they get fat, we could just sell them, and there's some cash right there. And so now we have two pigs. And then we got a boy and a girl, so they might breed. And so now the pig side of it is really just a cash flow option. So where we can just, turn over the meat and or the live animals every spring. Yeah.
So that was, yeah, when she brought that up, I was like, okay, that's great. And then once I said, and I started thinking about, okay, we got to build a pig pen. How do I water them? Where do I get their food? What kind of food do they need? And then I'll start, because I've never owned pigs. And so I'm talking to our friend that we're buying it from and trying to get his ideas. And then, of course, I'm doing my own research to see what works for us. And next thing I know, I'm extremely thankful that I bought that one-man auger last year, because digging holes for the fencing and stuff was a lot of work. And, and we're still not done. I still have to do some other things for them and stuff. But the first thing was trying to hurry up and because he was so afraid that the pigs that we got were going to breed with that were going to become meat pigs. He's like, I can't have them get pregnant because they're coming close to being slaughtered, Sure. So the pressure was on, and so to get this built, but then the pressure was on when we had to go pick them up.
We had no means of picking them up. So I was like, we could stick them in the back of my robe, maybe.
I was like, how I go? I mean, we have a farm truck, right? And I have a trailer, but we don't. But it's not a farm truck and a trailer that you could just like throw the pigs in the back and put a leash on and go. So I was like, how are we going to do this? So I went over there in our Honda Pilot, and these pigs aren't full grown yet. They're like 6 months, but they grew from the last week that I saw them. And I get there, and our friend that's there, that's we're buying the pigs from, and his buddy who's also big time farmer and stuff. He came over to help us, and he was like, "That's not gonna work." And I was like, and he kind of told me why, and I was like, "Okay, well." So we came up with some other ideas, and the idea was I needed to make some type of crate for them. So,
sure.
So,
yep.
So what ended up happening was we ended up making this crate.
Him and his high school senior until
we stayed up till 11 o'clock on a Friday night because we were picking up Saturday morning, and we were out there. We had the big 500-watt halogen lights on us because we couldn't see in the dark, and we were out there. But this was the great thing about farming. This is part of farming. These experiences, and we put this crate together. And he goes, "Hey," we got that. We got that fencing that we used to use we had a big dog that passed away some time ago, and we had this big fencing that we used for his area. And I was like, yeah, we could use that. So we took it around we sealed everything up, and then we put it in the back of the truck, and it barely fit. I mean, it was so big. And I thought we were going to only be able to take one pig, but we ended up bringing both back at the same time. But it took 4 of us.
6 technically, 2 girls in the middle too.
Well, it took 4 of us to load them in the crate when we were there, because they didn't want to go in. Even when we put the food in, they realized what was happening, and they would try to run out. And trying to stop a 150-pound pig that's trying to get out, it's pretty brutal. So
what didn't help? You were worried about hurting.
I was worried about hurting the pig, because there was one point all I had that was only accessible to my hand was its snout. And I was just like, if I push on that, I could hurt it, and I don't want to hurt the pig, and then it'd be angry with me, because then it's like every time I feed them, it's still going to be angry with me.
Yeah.
So,
understandable. Yep.
I didn't want it to think that I'm its enemy, right? So at the get-go, and I'm like introducing myself to this pig that is I'm trying to force it into a crate. But the cool thing was, once it was done, once it was done, we got the pigs in the back of the truck. And the moment that truck started, both pigs calmed down, calm as could be. They didn't try to get out. They just went along for the ride. When we got to the property, it took, was it 6
It
people?
was 6 of it. Was 4 men on the corners and 2 girls on the sides. So
So that was 8.
no, like 1 girl on either side, and then 4 guys at the corner.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we unloaded them, and then first we measured the base of the crate, because I made the base of the crate so that there was handles, so we could pick up the crate with them in it and walk them into the hog pen or pig pen. So, but when I got there, I go, you know what? Before we move this, we better measure the fence and the
gate
and the gate that we're trying to push this in. Because I go, there's no way we're chasing these guys. So luckily I only had to cut off 2 inches on each side, and we were able to pick them up and take them right into the pig pen, shut the gate, open it up, and let them out. And it went really smooth.
Well, half the pig pen is very large.
It's very large.
So I was like, they got to have a lot of room. That's one thing I learned from my father, not in a good way, was that you're going to have pigs, they need to be far away from the house, and the pen needs to be big. They need plenty of space. Otherwise, it's big.
Well, we got, yeah. And Danae's she's been so proud of the pig. She goes, this is not how I remember pig pens being when I was growing up. And I was like, good, I must have did something right. But so
now we have 2 pigs.
But yeah, so it's that was the experience of Emily's venture with bringing pigs on board.
It sounds like it was your idea, Emily, and then Eric got stuck with all the work.
Well, about that, so Eric gets stuck with a lot of work, and we talked about how we have a division of labor. So he's the guy, and he's the one who has all the experience with building things. And luckily, they also have 2 older boys, 18, and how old's Isaac?
23.
23. Okay. And so that they have been our muscle like the whole way. And so like we got to give a lot of props to him. He built the brooder box. We all worked together to build 2 chicken tractors. We all worked together to build the pig pen. But he's the real MVP, because he's the one who's doing a lot of the physical stuff and kind of directing us as to what to do on the physical stuff. Yeah.
And I still haven't lost any weight.
That comes later. I
got to build up to it.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm not, building them fast enough or something.
What is the breed of pig that you ended up with?
Kunas.
Coonies?
Yep.
Nice.
Both of them. And he was sharing with us, the person that we bought them from, he did his research before he got, or during why he was getting into it, I guess. And he had shared how they're just good overall pigs to have because of their temperament and whatnot. So, and he goes, and then on top of that, they do produce a good amount of food in regards to, you could get them, like 400 pounds and it produces quite a bit of food. So, but he shared with us his experience, because he had one pig that he kind of was attached to. It was his first one, and he took it to the butcher.
Oh yeah.
And when he took it to the butcher, he said it was really hard for him, but he did do it. And that pig, he said, was 400 pounds. And he said, he treated it like a dog. He would just call it and it would come, and he goes, they're food driven. So you just take the food and you put it in there. But he was like, here's your last meal type thing. As he was taking it to the butcher, it's up, and the pig was completely obeying him out of trust. And then he had a slaughter, so he kind of shared that experience and stuff and whatnot. So, but I was really, I don't know, proud is the right word for it, but, that I was proud of how he went through with it. Like, this is what this was the purpose, and he knew how to at least get at some point have the experience enough just to cut it off so he can do what he wanted to do, and that was fill his freezer.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think the difference between maybe some of these big places and what we want to do and what we've seen a lot of our friends do is animals get treated really well.
Yeah.
You know, they have space, they have plenty of food, they have, they can take care of themselves in a way that's more natural, and that was really important to me in particular, because I've seen what it looks like when the animals don't really get what they need, and
Right.
just being able to know it is worth the extra effort and, the extra time and even the extra money to make sure that the animals have a really good life while they're here, because, they're going to sacrifice their lives later for us. So gosh darn it, man, make the time they got good,
But it's also for the people too, the people that are taking care of them as well, to have that, because it doesn't become, it stays homesteading. It doesn't become an industrial type atmosphere where you're just going to work.
Yeah.
So the idea is to, when you're having that care for them, with that, it is a two-way street. The animal benefit from it. The people that are farming are benefiting from it, as well, on an emotional and a mental level. When you get out there and you're able to do stuff with them. So and it turns into an industrial work. I mean, it's no different than going to a cubicle in a corporate office or any other job where you're just kind of going and laboring and then wanting to go home and whatnot. So there's a satisfaction to homesteading in that manner.
Right. Yeah. I actually just had to dispatch a chicken last night. So like it was acting really weird. I thought it was one thing. Turns out it was something called water belly. And yeah, you can't actually treat it. Like all you can really do is like drain it, and it's probably going to come back. And so the best thing you can do is just get rid of it. And so, man, like I had it in like an Epsom, like I didn't know what it was at first. And so I'm like, I don't know if like the first it had like all this like caked on like poop on it and stuff. And so like we got that cleaned up and put it like in Epsom salt, like warm bath, like in a 5-gallon bucket, just let it sit there for 10 minutes, whatever. And then gave it like its own water dish, got a heat lamp for it because it's wet and it still gets to like 45 here at night. So you don't like, it would just get cold and then probably die. And it looked like it was getting better, but then it got worse. And so I just had to get rid of it last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just kind of like a mercy killing. Just,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes that's what you got to do.
yeah. It's the worst part of it.
So you must be way up north.
I'm in Montana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. So
Yep.
almost in Idaho.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know about where you're at.
Yeah. South of Missoula, if you know where that is.
Yep.
Yep.
For work, huh?
Yeah.
A couple last questions here, and then we can wrap up. So your business, like you met through your church. So how do you integrate your faith in your business? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, that was very important for us. So, in our faith, we do believe in revelation and in the gift of the Holy Ghost. And we feel, a personal responsibility to seek that revelation, I guess you would say. And so one of the very first thing we did, even after he invited, is that we all prayed about it. We all went our separate ways and we prayed about it, and to see if we felt like that was the right direction. And every business decision we've made on using prayer and considering, service is a big deal in our church, serving our community and serving each other. Danae was talking about what were you saying earlier about when you're doing right, you're what were you
Oh,
saying?
well, I think people don't think about this very often, but when you are running a business and you run the business for the right reason, the right way, and especially when you're divinely inspired to do it. And I think a lot of people are and don't even realize it. When they have a passion and they feel a calling to do something, that's the spirit guiding them to do that, you know, that business or that service or whatever. Um, and to fill that role in society. And I think it really does. So running a business can absolutely help you understand God a little better and help you create a closer relationship with Him and help a lot of people along the way. I mean, it's a wonderful, it's a wonderful, positive, creative process that building a business can be if you do it right.
Yeah. So we definitely, that's important to us to involve God in all of our decisions. And we're doing this with a focus on community and family and building those relationships. And so, like Danae said, if you're doing it for the right reasons, I think, you could just do a lot of good in the world. So, yes, we're building a business. Yes, we're wanting to be able to provide for our own families, but we want it to be meaningful. Like Eric said, we don't want to just be punching a clock. We could do that just as well on our day jobs, which we're doing now. So, what good is that doing the world just sitting there behind a keyboard, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's a good focus for sure.
Yeah, a lot of so like all when we as we're building our business plans and stuff like that, when we talk about each individual section of that particular part, we have pretty deep discussions about it. We pray about it. We have our impressions on it, and it's to be sure that that we're not only blessing our own lives with our efforts, but also blessing the lives of others. And where they could, even if they only came over, we have what's called like a homestead day. We have people that come over and it builds a little bit of community and people learn some skills and they we had one particular person that came over and was extremely excited that she got to run a skill saw. I mean, not a skill saw, but a miter saw. And those just those types of things when they go away and they're feeling good about what they experienced and so it's not even always about the end product. It's just about where can someone be blessed, and even if it's only for 30 seconds, what was it that how did we touch them in this process? So our business plan is very down that road to be sure that we're keeping that in mind. But at the same time, we still, like Emily was saying, we're still building a business. So, but it's going to be in such a way that people want to be here. People don't want, not be, and if they decide that they want to not be here, they'll still leave, hopefully they'll still leave with a smile on their face and say, you know what, there was a good life experience, just like the experiences you heard from all three of us from the time that we were little until now. Hopefully this will be that one experience. And as people get older or they change paths in their own lives, that it'll somehow benefit them.
Yeah, I think that, making food as like an experience for people is like a good like connection to, it means something more. So,
yeah.
And if I can say as well, we just, with the increase in technology and personal devices, we become more and more granulated and insulated and insular. And that sense of community and family is kind of being lost. And so not just even food, but the experience, as he was saying, of people working together, working outdoors, having a social experience, either with community or friends or family. And so it's just, yeah, that's trying to build that sense that's kind of being lost a little bit, I think.
yeah, I agree. So was there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to talk about?
So we read the questions together separately and then together just before this. So I think we covered some of the high points that we all talked about, but I think one of the things that we didn't cover that I think that we're all kind of excited about is what's worked and what hasn't worked.
Yes. Okay. Let's get into it. All right.
So who wants to go first?
I'll do the easy one, the hog pen. I'll take the easy one. That one, we were so excited at how we did. We posted a lot of pictures on Twitter. And like you said, it was kind of a last minute deal. And from the time we said we'll take the pigs, we had like 2, maybe 3 weeks to get this thing built. So their property here is 3.5 acres, and half acre is like down at the base of the hill in a forest. So we carved it. What is it? 16 8 by 16 or 16 by 32?
It's 16 by 32.
A 16. We carved out a 16 by 32 section of that forest. We had a bunch of teenagers, and we all just like tore that thing up. He had the one-man auger, and so he bore all of those holes, and we put those posts in. And I mean, in less than 3 weeks between all of us, we had a whole entire hog pen built.
And it is built to withstand anything. Those pigs will never get out unless someone leaves the gate open.
I mean, I would say I think we're probably most proud of that accomplishment.
And it's so pleasant going out to the pig pen because we got a nice little path that we carved into the
we even carved a path through the forest.
Yeah. And we, and you walk in, and the smell of honeysuckle is what just hits you in the face as you walk into the forest. And then you literally have to be right up to the gate before you start smelling those pigs.
Yeah.
And it's not even that bad. I can tell you, pigs can just smell horrible if you got too many and too small of a pen, but it really isn't that bad.
Yeah.
And so I would just like, this is perfect. This is exactly the perfect scenario for pigs. You big pen in the middle of the forest, far away from your house, like a whole acre away from your house, and covered by honeysuckle. I mean,
yeah.
It's great. So that I have to say, pretty proud of that whole setup, and I had very little to do with it, but I'm still pretty happy about it.
All right, so you got to tell them about your feeding and watering system. Yeah, chicken tractors, the big fail.
The big fail and the big success.
Yeah.
There's a fail and a success.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of research and got a lot of different ideas from different people in regards to chicken coops versus chicken tractors, the different types of chicken tractors, all these different things. And I was just like, well, some of I loved a lot of the stuff that I've seen, and we talked about it. We put it on the big screen and discuss it. And then it got to the point where I was just like, well, none of these really work for us. So we engineered what worked for us by taking the ideas of the stuff that we have learned. And I could say that one of the things in regards to the success and the failure of these chicken tractors, the success was the watering system, because what I didn't want to do was, I love being around the chickens. I could call them sweet babies and they come running to me. But when you have to get up and feed and water them multiple times, a day, you kind of want to make it where it's enjoyable and easier, especially when you have to start thinking about winter and you got snow and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I don't want to have to get into the chicken tractor every day. So how do I make it where I can quickly feed and water them from outside the tractor? And what we did was bought PVC pipes, and we have a PVC pipe that goes down like a stack with a 90-degree angle with another PVC pipe, and we bought the chicken nipples for watering, and we stuck them in there. Works fantastic. Works really good. The chickens love it. It did it. They knew right away how to use them. The chicken feeder side, not so good. So I did 2 different things, and granted, we're talking about a chicken tractor that right now has 24 chickens in it, because we haven't moved them to the other half to the other tractor yet, 'cause it's not done. So I'm like and I was, when I was doing it, I was like, so I did the chicken feeder and it fell apart twice. And, and I did it two different ways. The first time the feed wouldn't go all the way down. I mean, I had a feeder that was probably, I'm trying to look at the camera, probably about about 2.5 feet or so long, because, 24 chickens, when one starts to eat, they all want to eat, type thing, and they're not trampling over each other. So, so I was like, well, I did that, but then it worked well the first run through, but when you kept trying to refill it, it wouldn't go all the way down. So I was like, well, this isn't going to work. So we tried another way. Well, then it was kind of like stuck in the air, and it was like, and then one day I was messing with it and it fell apart inside the chicken tractor. And I was like, crap, I got to go inside and get it now. So, luckily my daughter came out and helped, so I didn't have to go in. And so, but, so yeah, those were probably, when it comes to the watering system and stuff, and the feeding, those were my two biggest successes and fails. Because it took a lot of figuring out how to make it work. And for the actual feeder, just came to the realization it just needs to be a little bit smaller. And we're going to end up splitting the chickens anyway, so it'll be adaptable to them. I'll just try to make it work for 24 when the chicken tractor isn't big enough really to be able to make a feeder that functions properly that large. So we basically just stuck with the regular chicken feeder that you kind of buy at the store. And it's, it's got the tube, it's just hanging there from the top of the chicken tractor, so I can move it and it doesn't drag, but it's easy to reach in and just fill it. So, without having to get inside the whole chicken tractor. But so, yeah, those are some of our successes and our failures.
I don't know. We had a lot more successes than failures. So,
yeah. And then, and if anyone else is thinking about doing it, you kind of came to the agreement, do your research, but just start. You really have to kind of do your research and then start, because
you're going to have no idea until you actually
get going. Yeah. So, just, pick one and start with it. And then, we've seen other people that spent almost nothing on chicken tractors. And then I saw one guy that made a chicken tractor out of nothing but metal. And it was like so heavy to move, right? And they realized that wasn't great, so we decided not to use it anymore. But they wanted it to last forever, so but they completely went a different direction. But and this was stuff that research and people we talked to. So, but yeah,
you just kind of have to get started, because there's just some stuff you don't figure out until you're in the middle of doing it, and then you're like, oh, that doesn't work that way now, does it? So at least not for us. Yeah.
We'll have some plans. We'll put some plans on the website, some of the stuff that we did. So if it works for someone, they like the plan, they could purchase the plans or whatnot, and build their own tractors from wherever they're at.
Yeah, once you get the feeder fixed.
Once you get
the feeder fixed.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that way they could do their own thing and have something, because there's a lot of ideas out there, and there's a lot of things for sale, like at the retail places, but it seemed to be better just to purchase the material. And I think that was my second challenge overall was purchasing material, finding the feed, at a good price. Where can I go get it? What kind of feed do I need? Those type of research, those type of things were my biggest challenges when we started this.
Yeah, even if you were to buy a prefab chicken coop, chicken tractor, anything like that, I'm sure you'd have to make modifications to it anyways. Like the simplest things, always need fine tuning. Like it's never just the water. It's never just the feeder. Like you always got to figure out a way to make it better. Like I use a deer feeder to distribute chicken feed, and I still hate that thing. And it's supposed to be easy. Well,
gotcha.
Yeah. At the end of the hunting season last year, deer were jumping my fence. I mean, it's only 4 foot tall, so it's nothing to them. And they were getting their face right in there and eating right out of the deer feeder when it wasn't like, yeah, I get it. It's a deer feeder, but there's chicken feed in it. And so they were just like licking that little, it's just like a little motor that like spins and throws the feed everywhere. And so like there'd be like a big old pile on the ground. The chickens would eat that. The deer would be eating right out of the thing. And so I had to make a cage to keep the deer out. And I'm not even kidding. I was on my deck. I was throwing rocks at them to like get them. I hit them in the head twice, and they still came back to eat out of the stinking thing.
So what you're saying is you also raise deer.
I guess I kind of wish I didn't sell my bow. I should have just I called the neighbor over because he's got a bow and it's legal. Like, okay. And so yeah, he took a shot right off my deck and got one of them. So 1 out of 6.
5 more to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Few seasons right there.
Yeah. Well, we've got a herd that comes through too. They walk the back of our property line on our side, and they go in the woods during the winter, during hunting season, and they go in our woods and hide out and sleep there. And you could see all the evidence, sitting there and whatnot. But we're kind of, I would have to use a bow just because we're kind of, for a high-powered rifle, it's not really safe, and where we're at. So, but we're just like, you know what? We'll just let them hide out here so they had somewhere to go. And I know that there's plenty of other deer. Yeah, there's plenty because there's lots of land around us that people own that is much larger than our property, and whatnot. And I'm sure they have plenty of deer over there. So
they are a little obnoxious because sometimes they eat my plants.
Yeah, we learned that the first year.
Right out of my garden.
They took like everything from the stalks up. They just took everything.
Brutal. All poor plants.
Yeah, they're annoying. They're a nuisance most of the time. So, but yeah, this has been awesome. I'm gonna have links to all your stuff in the show notes. Otherwise, it is arms.com.
Yep. Awesome. Yep.
Well, thank you for taking the time to interview us. We appreciate having a good conversation.
This was a lot of fun. So are you looking to do this with other people or?
Oh, he does do it.
Fine.
Yeah, this is like number 52 or something like that. This is in as video number 52 for me, I think.
We're 52.
Gotcha. We're number 52. Yeah. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I know. I tell them they need to listen to the Guy Alaska interview. Like, man, I love listening to that guy's stories.
I gotta have Mac. He's there's so many other stories of his that I wish I could hear.
Probably never run out of stories there.
I do want to go visit him someday. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll have to put like 52 somewhere, like on our site or something, and we'll kind of all know what that means. We'll just put it'll just be like 52 just randomly on the website in different pages.
I am Matt DeRozier of Farm Hop Life. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and visit farmhoplife.com.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy. Out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana. Left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started Farm Hop Life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there